Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on, making an impromptu video during a nature walk about the nature of this period of time that we're in. As I'm filming this video, it's October 22nd, 2024. We're right on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio, and I definitely feel quite a strong shift coming in during this time, and I'm going to try in this video to articulate how we can work more favorably with this time, because I'm feeling a lot of people struggle. I'm feeling a lot of people questioning why this is happening to them, why certain things aren't working, why after such a long period of time that there are, like, for example, downward trajectories, or, more time and effort put into something for less of a result. I'm going to try to work through this for us all today. So, let's start off by talking about what sensibly would have to happen after a year like 2022, and then 2023 following it afterwards. So in the year of 2022, there was a major culmination point, a major climax that came about, and there was a lot of energy put into something to change and redirect karmic momentum in general. This was happening at individual levels, but especially at a collective level. There was a sort of like a very beneficial refusal that was happening in the collective, and it did create a few conflicts and a few squares and a few perhaps deficits of energy or overspending of energy that have been being accounted for in the 2023 and to some degree the 2024 year cycle. And I actually feel this beginning to turn around and redirect right here on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio. I think it's because we have the South Node in Libra right now. During 2022, we had the South Node in Scorpio, so the Sun is transiting over the degree points that sort of activate both of those. So there is, I think, a balanced middle-of-the-way result coming that is going to help us to get a lot of clarity and ability for puzzle solving during Scorpio season. I just got back earlier today from filming the November 2024 Comprehensive Astrology, and one of the main points that was coming up in that was the ability for puzzle solving and the ability for bringing certain things which have been knotted up or confusing or unreconcilable to a simple, okay conclusion. I want to dig into this a little bit in this video as well, because I'm feeling that a lot of people are basically here. Like, a lot of people have maybe come to a closed door, or a lot of people have come to like a point of totality or conclusion, even where it's like, okay, not being able to solve this puzzle or not being able to understand how I move forward from here is sort of just where things are until there's a resolution, or until there's some kind of understanding that helps me to plot forward. Also, there could be like a lack of confidence or a need for comfort and healing and predictability because of how much was maybe put on the line during 2022 or 2023, or some people are trying to maybe like recompensate themselves or spend some time in like a more peaceful environment because of what the last few years brought about, and how much energy we perhaps felt we had to spend during that time. Okay, so bringing us back to cusp of Libra and Scorpio 2024, and finishing out the 2024 year cycle, calendar year and astrological year, there is something approaching. There's just a beautiful cat approaching me as I'm walking in nature. Do you want to say hello, kitty? Yes, hello. Hi, kitty. Okay, well, fun little integration with nature for you all. Finishing out the 2024 year cycle, we just have to really understand that every result during this time is in some way tied to the previous choices and okay. So I'm feeling like so much resistance in some people for the outcomes that they're going through right now. And I'm also seeing quite a, how would I explain it? Quite a simple geometric thought pattern about things, meaning like, okay, I've like had a decrease in my income, or I've had, you know, a location that I didn't really want to be in come up, and I'm going to just immediately interpret those things as like disfavorable outcomes for me or negative outcomes in my life. And I'm seeing some people just get like very basic like that. And I want to definitely remind you guys that during this time, we're in a very kind of like poetic and mystical period of time where a loss is usually quite a good thing. And then also sometimes a gain can be unfavorable as well. Okay, so why are certain things not working the way that they used to? And why are certain routines that we developed in the past that were meant to maybe not even last as long as they did, or in our minds maybe we thought would last longer? Well, there's a change in the entire energy grid, and a change I feel in the way that things are moving globally. So there is a material context to it, like maybe there is a change in where energy is produced, or maybe there is a different way that we're having to look at currency, or a different way that we're looking at everything compared to where we were like before 2020, obviously. And basically all of that coming together is changing the paradigm and changing the reality. So in a lot of senses, the pre-2020 structures are something that we have to understand may not function in the same predictable way that they used to, or that we may have to like work with differently. Also, we have Pluto changing signs for the very final time in November of 2024, on November 19th. So that's going to change the status quo and what has worked for the last 15 or 16 years. So when we're asking these questions, like, why isn't this job working for me anymore? Why am I not feeling the same stability that I used to? Why is this happening in my life? Okay, as some people will get really like frustrated and mixed up on. And basically there's a challenge here to like really begin to step into the physical embodiment of a more self-actualized version of yourself. You know, in 2022, we were dealing with all of these like ultimate cause, higher purpose narratives and questions, and beginning to orient the board in a way that made this possible. And in the 2024 year cycle, it kind of feels like people, you know, set the ground or set the framework to really step into the next version of themselves. But in some cases, what began to happen also was like how tiring or how exhausting it can be to do all of that work may have led us to just want to like rest in the previous stability, which was indicated by all these retrogrades of Pluto on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius. We're kind of like moving back and forth between the previous stability represented by Capricorn and the new wave, experimental, like new push of energy represented by Aquarius. And what we're going to start seeing now as we come closer to the calendar new year is that we have to find a path through the weeds, we have to find a path through the wilderness, and we have to be okay with living our lives with a full sense of personal projection and personal energy, meaning it's going to get harder and harder to bargain with our path of self-actualization. You know, it's going to get harder and harder to do those things like, you know, through this job that I don't like, or through this relationship that I'm worn out with, or through this, through these previous stabilities that are outworn, I'm going to somehow build towards the next path. Well, that would sort of be happening right now, and definitely pay attention if you have anything that's like basically reducing or declining, because it might be a remnant of these older energies, and it may serve as a bridge into a more self-actualized expression of yourself, or into a more self-actualized path. Okay, so something else that I'm getting in the collective is when do I finally get the chance to just fully think about and consider the path that my life is on? This is like a major existential collective and individual question right now, as I feel like a lot of people see it. They have certain like vision of where they want their lives to be, or they have certain knowing of like a general kind of structure that moves that needle. but it's confined by a fear of disrupting the current stability, and it's confined also by unfamiliarity and by undeveloped muscle memory as well, meaning that I feel that some of us have to develop new talents, some of us have to also get out of our comfort zone, and some of us have to be willing to have like meetings with people, or we have to be willing sometimes to like step into new territory and not be totally expert all the time. This is kind of a time where you definitely get sort of this syndrome of like, well, I am established in one place and I like the benefits of establishment, even if it's not perfect for me, but there's a craving or a yearning for a new way, yet also the need to be the fool or to be foolish in a way to grow and develop those abilities. So like there's a juxtaposition here during this time where it's like establishment versus experiment, or you know, the old way versus the new way, and then also being sort of aged or masterful in one place as opposed to, you know, the inherent mistakes that come with youth, or that come with, you know, experimenting in a place that we're unfamiliar with. And what is sort of upholding this juxtaposition and this conflict, I feel, is a lack of intelligent boundaries. We definitely have some type of like boundary or border crisis, okay, with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces happening at the smallest and largest levels. Something is just off there. So I'm feeling this for most people. I'm feeling like there is a severe, severe need to change up the positioning of like our own personal boundaries. Like you might be totally open in an area that is like really jeopardizing your path forward, yet like you might be closing off to what is needed to put your path forward. And like a lot of people have to definitely ask themselves, like, is remaining stagnant okay for me here? Will there be future regrets around remaining stagnant now? As some people do just have to be still here. Some people just have to like really solve a very long-running problem. For example, I'm seeing a wonderful window here for resolving like chronic illnesses. I'm seeing a wonderful window, and this is through more intelligent boundaries. I'm seeing a window for resolving long-running like corrupted mindsets, or, you know, ways or philosophies or mindsets that keep us kind of unhealthy or detached from what we need in our life or in our body for healing something that has been against us for a long time or has been a problem for a long time. That's very possible here, and I definitely encourage you guys to think about that in 2024 and 2025. For a lot of people, it's just so obvious what they have to do to like actually heal something, like a change of diet or a change of sleep cycles, a change in work ethic, you know, in some cases working more diligently, or in some cases taking on less hours. That's what's so wonderful about this time, this cusp time of Libra and Scorpio in 2024, is we have a lot of examples of balanced resolutions, and a lot of people are provided something during this time that can bring about the appropriate path forward. So sometimes when we don't feel like we have access to the path forward, or we don't feel strong enough to embark it, whatever this hang-up is in the collective right now about getting onto the self-actualized path and, you know, keeping on the main story of our lives and not getting sidetracked by, you know, things that are distractions. If we feel like something major is inhibiting our access to the path forward, we just have to get somewhere where we can re-enter the path. Okay, so that could be the case for a lot of people here. It's like, well, this definitely doesn't work. I definitely can't access what I need from here. So now the path forward is getting to a place where the path can be re-entered. So like, try to make it accessible no matter what for yourself. This is like a big negative thing happening right now, where people feel like I'm just too far gone, or I'm so far off of the trajectory that I just can't even consider it, or I'm just gonna close the door for myself. Try to remember that there's always a way back onto the path, or there's always a way to get to a place where it can then be re-entered. So like, everything connects back to one, everything connects back to center. You know, all of the blood vessels can eventually find their way back to the heart, you know, to put it in a very kind of spiritually, metaphorically kind of funny way here. But yeah, everything flows back to center. Everything flows back to center. And if you want, you can tell yourself that here. Like, even if you're far away from the center point, there's a pathway back to it. And it's actually not that complicated. It just is distant. Now, distance is something that scares people during this time. You know, like, I see the future. I see eventually I'll have enough money saved to buy that house, or eventually I'm going to be healthy enough to feel like I could, like, go back into another relationship. There are, like, these eventual distant things that Scorpio season of 2024 is really going to cue back up for us to gravitate towards, and also informing us about our own, you know, status and our own scope of wellness, to, like, move back toward what matters. And a lot of that is pointing more towards the internal feeling rather than the external proof of something. There's a major hang up right now on needing, like, external validation, on needing, like, external proof. Like, I need to feel like I make this amount of money to feel like I'm ahead in life, or I need to feel like I have this house, or I need to feel some kind of material element. And it's like, even at the same time as people get those things or accomplish those things, there can be such an internal feeling of lack, or such an internal drain. And something that this period of time is really working on as well is rediscovering the internal spring, rediscovering something that is not contingent on all of these external things, to restore one's sense of confidence and trust and self-faith, okay? So let's talk briefly about facilitating this more internal and personally owned sense of well-being, as opposed to, like, all the things we can do to make some type of external well-being, like all that money I can make to do whatever, or all of the favor or connections I can build. You know, these are all such, like, external things that people are focused on right now. How do we keep things internally replenishing? Okay, as this is a major focus right now with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, the Scorpio season, Mars in Cancer, these water trines forming up, the final part of Pluto in Capricorn. There's a huge question about how we nurture self-replenishing, self-sustaining elements in our life, both physical and ethereal. Okay, this is kind of hard to explain, but it hinges on experience now. It hinges on many years, I would say 15 or 16 years with Pluto changing sign, of what we've learned about ourselves and how we function as people, okay? Like, knowing at a very simple level what types of foods agree with us and which ones don't, what types of routines agree with us and which ones don't. Knowing, you know, the simple math of life, knowing and pulling forward the choices and actions that we've taken over these last 15 years that we knew were good for us, the paths that agreed with us, the harmonious pursuits, and the harmonious daily habits and routines, and then turning off or releasing, detaching from things that we know have not been favorable for us. So this is really about getting out of the unconscious. Some people do need more rest. I feel that very strongly. There's a major diet component and a major detachment from a certain, like, craving spectrum for some people. So, like, I crave to have this, or I crave to have that. I crave this relationship regardless of whether it's good or not. I crave closure with someone regardless of whether that's actually necessary. I crave some type of stimulating food rather than a healthy food. Like, try to, like, really look into the cravings and see if there's not something that we can fix very easily there to restore a lot of our energy. And yes, the home environment, the immediate surroundings are very important. Now, some people can't change that super easily here, but what you can do, you know, try to bring more peace and serenity into your house. Try to free up more time. I've seen a lot of healing happening through people getting things off of their plate here, or through freeing up their resources a little bit more. And sleeping it off here is also quite good. A lot of sleep healing happening, a lot of wonderful time for therapy, meditations, and for more passive experiences. And I leave you with a final idea that I think that a lot of people underestimate during this time, and that idea is you probably already know exactly how to navigate this time, and exactly what a healthy day looks like for you, exactly what the general, medium, and long-term movements look like. Don't complicate it. Don't get super in your head about the small details, because no one can control the future, right? Try to, that's a great thing here. Remembering, no one can control the future. That statement will dismantle a lot of the problematic energy of this time too. There's ways that we can, make choices that are most likely positive, most likely right, but never absolute. Sometimes people can make also the best choices in the world, and it doesn't give them control of the future. It indicates certain steering, maybe, through having a healthy diet. You're more likely to not get diabetes, or, hypothyroidism, or heart problems, more likely. But try to lean into what you already know of yourself, and try to make sure that you're implementing those things. I'm seeing so many people, like, okay, Saturn in Scorpio, 2014-15, it would have revealed to you psychically, and to some degree physically as well, how to live your life in an upward trajectory, and the changes to make, and the transformations to make, and the way to work with your body in a way that is like going to give you a personal sense of health and power. You can pull things from that period of time, like diets from that time with perhaps more healthy parameters even now put onto them can be very helpful. And yes, we're now in the concurrent water sign for Saturn in Pisces, so there has to be something pulled from that period of time, like pulling the good forward, releasing the bad, and that is what's going to like really get things wired right, you guys here. And just try to give yourself what you know is a balanced center point now. Anyway, that's about all that I have on this nature walk, everyone. This was just an impromptu video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it resonated. I'm doing live premieres every Friday during this season, assuming that the world keeps turning and YouTube keeps working. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, as there are a bunch of noisy tractors coming. But yes, we have tried to film during the nature walk. Much love, everyone. Bye.